I have a very special video for you right now. This, I think, is the biggest and the baddest pickup truck in the land. It's a Ford F-550 by Elevation Off-Grid. It's a four-wheel drive truck with active adjustable suspension and a bed. And I get to take it off-road and on-road and show you exactly how it performs. Could it be as cool as an F-150 Raptor? Only bigger? Let's find out. This video is brought to you by my friends at Elevation Off-Grid. Use the link in the description below. Check them out. Of course, you can purchase a truck like this, or actually another version of Ford F-550 chassis. It doesn't have to be lifted. You can get a dually truck with the same suspension. So the promise of this truck is that it can do everything well. Carry huge payloads, tow big trailers, go off-road, and of course, also be a daily driver if you want it to be. So in order to evaluate it, I'm gonna take it on the canyon road. Let's see how it drives on pavement first. So let's go to that video. Okay, so this is my liquid spring controller, and I am in sport mode and normal ride height. And let me see how this truck behaves on the mountain canyon road. I'm gonna turn off traction control just for fun. And let's see. Diesel power. So what I'm trying to learn about this truck actually is, how does a giant vehicle like this behave on a twisty road? And the promise of this suspension is that it's active. So it's always monitoring accelerometers, ride sensors, my brake pedals position, my throttle position, and it's trying to keep me in control. Whoa. This feels really flat in corners actually. This truck weighs about, at the curb, about 10,700 pounds. But it's acting like a much smaller truck. Here's how I would compare it to some of the other vehicles that are big and heavy. I recently drove our long-term GMC Hummer EV, and that has air suspension, also height adjustable, and pretty fancy. The Hummer, the stock Hummer, as heavy as it is, about 9,400 pounds, tends to lean quite a lot. This doesn't do that. Yeah, I'm really impressed by liquid spring and the way that the guys at Elevation Off-Grid integrated this system into this lifted truck. And the other amazing thing is, and I don't know if you can tell, is the sound level in this truck. It's really quiet. And that's not by accident. This truck also has the optional insulation package by Elevation Off-Grid. It's not cheap. It's about $8,500, but they strip the interior completely and they insulate the entire thing, including the ceiling. And that prevents some of the tire hum, insulates from that. Their goal was to make this as quiet as a luxury sedan. And I think for the most part, they succeeded. Okay, so the first obstacle, which is not really an off-road obstacle, but it's actually a very, very tight hairpin turn, is here. For this part, I'm actually gonna raise the suspension to its very highest, and it's actually very quick acting, and I can also hear it. I could hear some of those pistons working, the fluid is being kind of distributed around the truck, and now I can make a very, very tight turn. This truck, like I said, is a 550, so it has a very wide axle, so I can cut the turn very, very sharp. I actually turned in late And look at this. I'm just doing it. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. You would think for a truck that's almost 23 feet long, you would be doing a 3-point or 5-point turn. Not the case here. Oh, that was great. So here's the thing. I started running the trail with 60 PSI in these Goodyear tires, these 42s. And then I realized, yeah, maybe we should air down just a smidge. So I'm gonna go to 45 PSI. It should settle down the ride a little bit more. And then we can really see what this truck is capable of. This is a truck you can actually purchase just the way you see it here, and I'll tell you more about that later. But it starts life as a Ford F-550 chassis cab. What does that mean? That means, of course, you get the heavy-duty frame, and then the guys at Elevation Upgrade go to work to fit this liquid spring smart suspension. This type of suspension has been in use for decades on emergency vehicles and ambulances, but now it's here supersized for off-road use and also for suspension lift. Okay, so now I'm aired down. I know this truck is maneuverable. Now let's see how it does some whoops and maybe a little bit of water crossings too. That was crunchy with ice. But this truck is so huge. I haven't found a rock or a whoop or anything big enough for it to actually matter. This truck is just running over everything. All right, I'm gonna see how some of the faster speed off-roading behaves, how it behaves. Okay. Yeah, it's doing good. I mean, this is unladen, by the way. I don't have any payload in the back. And this truck just keeps going. So I have this truck on the rock here to show the suspension, and I'm just over 6'2". But this is a big truck. Under the hood is a 6.7 liter Power Stroke V8 turbo diesel. In stock form, in commercial trim, it's rated at 330 horsepower and 825 pound-feet of torque. And because this is a newer truck, after 2020, they have a 10-speed automatic behind it, which is really cool, I think. And then, of course, you can get a little bit more power out of it if you choose so. You can just ask the guys at Elevation Off-Grid. They can do that for you. So you can have it either stock power or a little bit tuned as well. So now I'm on the part of the trail that offers a little bit more challenge. So far, this F-550 has been laughing at all the obstacles. Now the rocks are getting a little larger, and I want to see how it behaves. This is why I'm here. I want to put it in some stress. It is a big giant truck, and I want to see how it performs. I do have lots of ground clearance, of course, and let me see if I can try to make my rear tires in the air. So I'm putting it in a little bit of a stress, but I'm not stressed because, first of all, I have a long wheelbase. I have a lot of stability. This truck is quite wide. There, I dropped on that rock down there. And I'm trying to watch all my obstacles. Okay. No, I'm at 15 degrees side tilt. And I'm not even in high suspension mode, I'm in normal. I'm in normal mode. there's that boulder behind me. There, I just dropped off it. And also this has self-leveling, where I can hear different pistons operating because it wants to maintain the truck as level as possible. So it's working quite nice. Of course, it cannot do extreme angles like 20-degree side tilt, but it's trying. It's trying really hard. You're probably wondering about this bed. Well, it starts its life as an F-450 consumer truck bed, but because the wheelbase on this 550 chassis is about 4 inches longer than an F-450, of course the bed had to be modified a bit to make it fit as if it was all stock, which is what it looks like. Of course, it had wide fenders for as if it was a dually. I'll tell you about the tires in a second. But in here, it's basically an 8-footer. I think the guys over there also have an additional fuel tank in the very front of it, and also the gooseneck and a fifth wheel hitch set up right there. Very usable. This truck has about 10,600 pounds of payload, which is absurd. It's hard for me to think about that this truck can carry about 10,000 pounds. Yeah, you can put like a Hummer EV truck onto the bed and still drive. This truck starts its life as a Lariat, already a fairly good optioned vehicle. And then what's shown here, it's their Black Edition truck, which of course black badges, but also most options you can put on this, including of course painted to match fenders, gigantic, very, very strong bumpers. Also there's a winch up front. So to sum up this truck, I'm super impressed by the on-road performance. As heavy as this truck is, it was taking that mountain canyon road as if it was an F-150, let alone F-550. It was very controllable, pretty flat, and really comfortable to drive, even with no payload in the back. Off-road, this truck made obstacles like you could see here just disappear. There was some head toss, on some of the rough terrain with bigger rocks, but for the capability of this truck, I kind of expected that. So it's not that, maybe a Ram TRX or a Ford F-150 Raptor, but you could go everywhere those trucks can, and also it's maneuverable, so I'm super happy with it. Of course, it comes at the price. This truck you see here is at $179,000. Yes, for the Black Edition. And that includes everything you see on this particular truck, which I think, if you think about it, right, if you buy a F-450 consumer version of the Ford truck, limited edition, it's already almost $100K with a diesel. And then, of course, you can modify that truck. You can invest a lot of money. But this truck comes with research and development, has a very, very heavy-duty and proven suspension. So when you think about it in those terms, I think it starts to make a lot of sense. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and stay tuned for more videos with this truck, because I also want to tow about 30,000 pounds with it. Yeah, the same truck. So thank you, and go back to alltfl.com for everything automotive. One-stop shop right there.